So some of the downsides or the challenges here in Musoorie that you might notice as you walk and wander around is that you're going to, as you take your walks, you'll notice that there are quite a few British Raj-era buildings, like churches, cemeteries, etc., that are going to be closed and locked up. Now, maybe you might be able to find a person who can let you in and lock it, but I mean, I haven't had time for that, and it's not a high priority. And those buildings, they would be interesting to go inside and get a sense of. So, for instance, I think I was by Union Church and Christ Church, and then on Camelback Road, there's a cemetery that is managed by the Central Methodist Church. The Central Methodist Church, which is right along Mall Road, it was built in the 1880s. And I went there earlier and did a little video there from the outside, but it was locked and I wasn't able to go inside. And the first time I walked past it, the gates were locked. So I was able to go in and at least see the building. But the whole point is that several of the churches and the cemetery that they manage, that from above looks very beautiful. It's lush and green and very peaceful looking. I would have loved to have walked through there, contemplated a bit. But you'll notice there are quite a few places around Musoorie that are closed. Also, a number of the old Raj-era buildings are closed and decaying. Of course, it requires money to rehabilitate, and it might not even be worth rehabbing some of the buildings because of structural damage. They get a lot of rain and weather here. Winter time. Can be impactful. I know that they have had earthquakes here. 1905, they had a giant one, so that could have impacted some of the structures. But like I noticed, the Northern Railway office, that's a historic building in town, that's closed up. So that we saw quite a few buildings that were closed, but then we were also in a few that had been rehabbed and were quite nice. Some of the restaurants, some of the hotels. So you will get a sense of the Raj era, the colonial era, a little bit as you wander through town. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, but not a major one, because these aren't like the maybe the highest quality of colonial era that you might see in some other places, perhaps in Calcutta, perhaps in Shimla. But anyway, that's just to let you know. Of course, if you know people from Musoorie, or if you have a tour guide, then that might actually open up a lot for you. And I haven't typically done that because as I've backpacked through areas, I've got like a short time stay. However, Musoorie is a place that I think would be good to stay a longer stretch of time, a week or more, for creative projects. Internet can be a bit spotty, so I don't know if it's the best place for work or research necessarily, but definitely if you were writing or revising a book or something along those lines, it might be helpful, or doing some kind of creative project that you can do as you travel around. This would be a good place to kind of relax, to reboot, and to reconsider what you're doing, or to finalize some things. So that's how I think about Musoorie. I would definitely think this would be good for writers. And Ruskin Bond, he's a famous author from India, of British descent, and he grew up in India, and he still lives here as far as I know. And I read one of his travel books that has a number of his essays from over the years and photos. I just finished that up a couple months ago, and it just inspired me even more to come back here. I would have loved to have met him, but his writing, like, I really enjoyed his essays, and he was always writing about walking around Musoorie and around Uttarakhand, and I can see why this would be such a great place for a writer. So anyway, I'll go ahead and cut it short, but until next time, be happy.